Traders often don't realize the exact moment they stop trading their plan. They think it happens loudly, with a dramatic decision, with anger, revenge, or panic. But in reality, it happens quietly. It starts with a small internal permission, a subtle adjustment that feels harmless. A thought that sounds reasonable in the moment. I'll make an exception this time. I've watched this happen in my own trading, and I've seen it happen in others. Not because they're reckless, but because they're human. When you stop trading the plan, it rarely feels like rebellion. It feels like adaptation. You tell yourself the market is different today. You tell yourself you're reading context. You tell yourself experience earns flexibility. And that's what makes it dangerous. Because the plan doesn't disappear all at once. It erodes. First, you follow it mechanically. Then you follow it with interpretation. Then you follow it only when it agrees with you. At that point, the plan still exists on paper. But psychologically, it's already gone. There's a specific emotional state where this begins. It's not fear. It's not greed. It's discomfort. Discomfort with waiting. Discomfort with uncertainty. Discomfort with feeling passive while the market moves without you. I remember sessions where nothing technically aligned, but price was active. And the longer I watched without participating, the louder the internal pressure became. Not excitement. Pressure. Pressure to justify action. This is where traders confuse patience with paralysis. They start believing that doing nothing is a failure of skill rather than an execution of discipline. And slowly, the plan becomes optional. You still know the rules. You still remember why they exist. But now, you're trading how you feel about the market, not how the market fits the plan. This is the point where internal dialogue changes. Instead of asking, is this my setup? You start asking, could this work? That question feels analytical, but it's emotional because could is infinite. And plans don't operate on infinite possibility. They operate on permission and denial. Another sign you've stopped trading the plan is how you respond to losses. Planned losses feel contained, uncomfortable, but acceptable. Unplanned losses feel personal. They trigger explanation seeking, mental replay, justification. You don't just lose money, you lose trust in yourself. And that's when traders double down, not on discipline, but on activity. They trade more, not to recover capital, but to recover identity. To prove they're still capable, still sharp, still in control. Ironically, this is usually when control is weakest. The market didn't force you out of the plan. You drifted, not because the plan was wrong, but because following it required sitting inside uncertainty longer than your nervous system wanted. And most traders were never trained for that part. They were trained to analyze, to identify patterns, to think. They weren't trained to wait without intervention. When you stop trading the plan, the most dangerous thing isn't the loss that follows. It's that trading starts to feel improvisational again. And improvisation feels powerful until it isn't. If this kind of reflection resonates, subscribing or liking isn't about engagement. It's a quiet signal that disciplined trading matters to you, and it helps this perspective reach other traders who need structure more than noise. To understand why traders abandon their plan, you have to stop viewing it as a discipline problem. It's a cognitive load problem. A trading plan isn't just a set of rules. It's a psychological container. It limits possibility. It removes interpretation. It protects you from your own adaptability. And adaptability in trading is a double-edged trait. The brain is designed to detect patterns and adjust behavior in real time. That works in physical environments. Markets punish it. When you're watching price move, your brain is constantly updating probabilities, even when you don't want it to. So the longer you sit in front of the screen, the more internal data accumulates. Small movements feel meaningful. Random fluctuations start to feel intentional. Your plan, however, doesn't update in real time. It's static, and that creates friction. The plan says, wait. Your perception says something is happening. This mismatch creates tension. and the brain resolves tension through action. That's the mechanism, not greed, not ego, relief seeking. When I started framing this differently, not as breaking rules, but as escaping discomfort, a lot became clearer. Because most traders don't break rules aggressively. They bend them gradually. They add conditions. They loosen filters. They redefine what counts. And the most common justification is experience. I've seen this before. I know how this usually goes. This time is different. Experience becomes the reason structure dissolves. But experience without constraints is just memory-driven bias. Plans work because they don't care how convincing the market looks. They don't care how bored you are. They don't care how confident you feel. Once you override them, you reintroduce discretion, but without boundaries. That's where traders confuse freedom with skill. True skill is operating inside limitations without needing to override them. Another mechanism at play is outcome attachment. When you stop trading the plan, your focus subtly shifts. From process result, you start monitoring unrealized profit and loss emotionally, even if you say you are not. You check more often. You react faster. You interfere. The plan assumed non-interference. But now you're involved emotionally. This is where traders feel like they're managing trades when they're actually managing anxiety. Plans don't fail here. Humans override them. Not because they're weak, but because plans are unnatural. They require you to act against instinct. Instinct wants certainty. Plans accept probability. Instinct wants feedback. Plans delay reward. So when traders stop trading the plan, it's often because the plan is asking too much of an untrained nervous system. That's why rules alone don't fix this. You can tighten rules endlessly and still override them. What changes behavior is reducing decision points. The fewer moments you have to decide, the less likely you are to improvise. The plan must function like a gate, not a suggestion. Either the market is allowed in or it isn't. No gray zone. And most importantly, the plan must include conditions for inactivity. Not just when to trade, but when to do absolutely nothing. Because inactivity is where most plans break. Control doesn't come from willpower. It comes from removing opportunities to interfere. That's the shift most traders miss. If your plan relies on you staying disciplined in real time, it's fragile. A robust plan assumes you will feel compelled to intervene and prevents it. The simplest framework I've seen work consistently is this: one setup, one time window, one invalidation condition. Nothing else exists. If the setup isn't present, you don't monitor. You disengage. If the time window closes, the day is over, regardless of outcome. If invalidation occurs, the trade is done, no reinterpretation. This isn't about being rigid. It's about being unavailable to temptation. When I adopted this structure, something unexpected happened. Trading felt quieter, less stimulating, less dramatic. And that's exactly why it worked. The goal isn't excitement. It's predictability of behavior. You don't need to feel confident to follow the plan. You need the environment to make deviation inconvenient. That means predefined sessions start and end. Predefined maximum trades. Predefined conditions that cancel the day. Not based on emotion, based on structure. Strategy, in this context, is secondary. The strategy exists to justify restraint. A simple, high-level approach, such as trading only in a defined market condition and standing aside when volatility or structure invalidates that condition, is enough. You're not trying to capture everything. You're trying to behave consistently. And consistency doesn't come from insight. It comes from limitation. When traders stop trading the plan, it's rarely because they don't believe in it. It's because the plan didn't protect them from themselves. Fix that, and discipline becomes less heroic and more automatic. Silence becomes normal. Waiting becomes expected. And trading starts to feel boring. That's usually the signal that you're finally trading the plan again. If this perspective aligns with how you want to operate, a quiet like or subscription helps this message reach traders who value structure over stimulation. This is Quiet Trader.